This is ANAplus, powered by the African News Agency. My name is Lance Witten. You're watching News Bite, where we give you everything you need to know about Africa now. Stop killing journalists. It sounds simple, right? But it just seems to be a message that doesn't get through. Journalists are among the most targeted people. And for what? For telling stories about people, stories about upliftment, stories about Africa. And we get killed for it. Stop it. Yes, we journalists put ourselves in compromising and dangerous situations. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking specifically about attacks that target journalists. Just the other day, a Somali-Canadian journalist, Hoda Nalaye, was killed when a suicide bomber attacked the hotel she and her husband were staying in. She founded Integration TV, where she highlighted and showcased Somali success stories. A week before that, it was discovered that a Tanzanian journalist who had been missing for 2 years, Azori Gwanda, had died. No one knows where or when, and there's an outcry about the lack of information surrounding the discovery. Tanzania's foreign minister let it slip during an interview with BBC Africa. He said Gwanda was not the only journalist to have been killed recently, and that was the first anyone had heard that Gwanda had died. This is simply unacceptable. What must his family be thinking? Journalists must be protected, because without journalists, where would we be? The UNESCO Observatory of Killed Journalists lists just 3 who were killed in Africa in 2019. Obed Nangbatna was killed in Chad in May, Mohammed Ben Khalifa was killed in Libya on January 19th, and Ahmed Hussein Suale was killed in Ghana 3 days before that. The BBC reported that at least 95 journalists were killed in 2018. In 2006, that figure topped 155. The Committee to Protect Journalists lists at least 10 journalists killed globally in 2019. Of these, some were caught in the crossfire, but the majority of the deaths were the result of murder. Journalists were hunted down and killed. Now, this isn't going to stop journalists from doing our job. We're the kind of people to run into burning buildings while others are running out. And it's not always just to get the most exclusive scoop. It's because we're passionate about our jobs, and our job is to inform the public about what's going on in their world. An informed population is an educated population, and an education leads to a strong democracy. Democracy is built on press freedom. And that freedom doesn't only encompass freedom of speech. It also involves being free from fear of our lives, fear of intimidation. Reporters Without Borders says 18 journalists, 2 citizen journalists, and 1 media assistant were killed in 2019. At the same time, globally, more than 300 journalists and citizen journalists are currently behind bars. This is a direct attack on journalism, which is a direct attack on media freedom. And an attack on media freedom is an attack on democracy. So how can you help? Well, there are a number of organizations that promote media freedom and help protect journalists and campaign governments who detain journalists. Check out Amnesty International, UNESCO, Reporters Without Borders, the Committee for the Protection of Journalists, to name just a few. But the other thing you can also do is to support your local media outlet. Support them by buying, consuming, and sharing their news on whatever platform you can find. And petition your government to keep the media free from harassment. In the end, us journalists are here to support you. Show us a little love and support us too. Stop killing journalists. This is Newsbite on ANAplus. We make Africa matter.